WTF? 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 WTF. Okay, it's hot in here. Hey, it's Tess and this is Wander Wealthy. We are continuing on our WTF series, and today we're talking about what the f is compound interest. Alright, so compound interest, you hear about it in every debt conversation or investment conversation. And it's one of those things that's actually very much a blessing and it can be a curse. What exactly is it? Well, Investopedia would define it as interest calculated on the initial principal and also on the accumulated interest of previous periods of a deposit or a loan. So, there it is. It applies to both a deposit, aka an investment / savings, whatever, anywhere you put your money, but it also accumulates on a loan. But what exactly does that definition mean? Well, it just means that first you start off with a sum of money, but because of time, interest is added. Here's an example. Let's say you either borrow or you save $1,000. If you are borrowing the $1,000, that means you have to pay it back. But if you have to pay it back with interest that is compounded on an annual basis, then you not only have to pay back the $1,000, but you have to pay back the $1,000 plus a year of interest. Let's just say our interest rate is 10%. That means you pay back $1,100 next year. Now let's say you can't pay it back next year, and instead you pay it back in the second year. Well, because it's compounded annually, then another 10% gets added in the second year, but it doesn't get added to the baseline amount. It gets added to the 1,000 plus the 100 that you accumulated from 1 year of not paying it back. Now you owe 10% on $1,100, which means now you owe $1,210. Cool. So interest kind of sucks in that way because as you owe money over time, you continue to owe more and more money. If you have a student loan or credit card debt, you probably figured this out. Interest can accumulate in many ways, especially compounded. It can be compounded on an annual basis, semi-annual, monthly, weekly, daily. Depending on the time period the interest is accumulated for, it could actually accumulate quite a bit. If you owe on credit cards, for instance, that's typically compounded on a daily basis, which can add up to a lot of money. There's some additional nuances that come in on whether you're looking at an annual rate or a daily rate, and whether the rate that you see on the paper actually applies to a daily rate or if it's broken up into annualized interest terms. We're not gonna get into that. All you need to know is that compound interest works both ways. So let's talk about the good ways. Let's talk about why interest is magical when it comes to time and you saving your money. When you set your money aside, it works in the same way. Let's say you set $1,000 aside and your money compounds at 10% every year. That means that every year you get 10% on that baseline 1,000 and then on the interest that was accumulated on top of that. So it works in the same way as that money you owe. 1,000 turns into 1,100. 1,100 turns into $1,210. And it just keeps growing from there. So you're not just accumulating interest on the $1,000, but the interest on top of it. A lot of people like to equate compound interest to mating rabbits. You can see how 2 rabbits turns into 4 rabbits, and that turns into 16 rabbits, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. That's a lot how compound interest works. The point of it being that when you start investing your money early, setting it aside to invest early, you have all that time to continue to build that interest and build your baby rabbit farm. I hope that gives you a little bit of insight on what the compound interest really is. Pay off that debt as fast as possible and start investing that money because you're not going to want to miss out on those compounded interest gains. Until next time, I hope you wander wealthy. Hey, by the way, if you have a financial term or instrument or something that you want me to explain, leave it in the comment section below and I will feature it in the next WTF series video. And don't forget to join our Wander Wealthy private community. Go to www.wanderwealthy.com/FB to join. Subscribe to these videos. If you like it, give it a big thumbs up and then hit that subscribe button so you can see what comes next in this series. Ciao.